Assalamu alaikum students. I'm a teacher from Ilm Online Academy. Today I'm going to discuss with you the Cambridge IGCSE Complete Mathematics syllabus that is basically related to the 6th edition. So if we would be talking about the contents that are related to this book, they are from chapter number 1, numbers, until chapter number 14, probability. So as your first chapter is related to the numbers, so you must know about the numbers first of all. Okay, like there are different types of numbers, so accordingly we will discuss that what basically are the types of numbers and what things we need to discuss here. So the things that are related to the numbers, or in this chapter you are going to learn about arithmetic. Arithmetic is basically related to the manipulation, that how you are going to add the numbers, subtract the numbers, or some different mathematical operations, how you will apply on the numbers. Next, negative numbers, the number facts, sequences, that is also quite related to the numbers concept, approximation and estimation, indices 1, standard form, and surds. So gradually we will just go on from arithmetic 1.1 until surds that are also related to the numbers. So first of all, if I would be talking about the chapter number 1, so let's discuss first of all the types of numbers, as in this content they have just shared some of the types of numbers that are related to this chapter. So most of the things you already know. So first of all, if we would be talking about the natural numbers. So what are natural numbers? Natural numbers are basically the numbers that are starting from 1. Okay? Numbers starts from 1. Okay, natural number basically starts from 1 and onward, like there will be so on. Like natural numbers, you can denote like with n, capital N, and natural numbers will be 1, 2, 3, and so on. Okay, so just remember that natural number starts from 1. Secondly, if we would be talking about integers, so integers can be the whole numbers. Okay, this is the most important concept that are basically related to the concept of integers, that integers are basically the whole numbers. They can be positive, they can be negative, but they must be a whole number. Okay, they can't be in the form of decimal, they can't be in the form of fraction, they only can be the whole number. Like for example, if integers, I would be denoting that one with z, capital Z, and the numbers can be positive as well and negative as well, so on. Okay, these are basically the integers, and these are all the whole numbers. With zero, we usually know no need to apply the sign positive or negative, but with all other numbers, you need to apply the positive and negative sign as they are related to the concept integers. Fine. Next, basically the concept of the primes. So what are prime numbers? Prime numbers are those that are only having the two factors. One is the factor 1 and one is the number itself. Okay. So they are basically called the prime numbers. They only have two factors. Okay. I'm just shortly telling you that what these things are, or what are basically the types of numbers. So primes are having only two factors. All the numbers that are having only two factors, one is the number 1 and the number itself. For example, if I would be talking about the number 5, it's having only two factors. One is the number 1 and the number 5. It's not coming in any other table. Okay. So they are basically called the prime numbers, or simply you can say the primes. Next is squares. So you know that if you are going to multiply a number itself, that will be the square of the number. Cube, multiplying a number thrice, that will be basically the cube. So factors and common multiples, this also we will discuss in the chapter, in this chapter. And after that, the most important concept is rational and irrational number. If you are having the idea about the rational and irrational number quite well, so you would be having the idea about the real numbers as well. Okay. Like for example, if I would be talking about the rational numbers, These two are very important concepts that are basically related to the numbers. So rational numbers are basically the numbers that can be written in the form of P by Q. Okay. What are rational numbers? Numbers written in the form of P by Q. P by Q means like the fraction form. P can be any of the number, any whole number, and Q as well. So all the numbers that are basically written in this form, they are basically called the rational numbers. Okay, we can have some examples about the rational number as well. Like for example, if I am having 1 by 5, even negative numbers can be there, like negative 2 by 3. It's also a rational number. And also the whole numbers, they are also quite related to the rational number, because if whole number is not having any number down over here, so we can just relate that that can be having 1 under that. Okay, so this is also a rational number. After that, all the decimal numbers, like for example, if I'm having 2.3, if I'm having 0.03, all the decimal numbers are also related to the concept about the rational numbers, because you can change or you can convert them in the form of P by Q. For example, if I have 2.3 and I want to convert it according to a fractional form, so I would be writing 23 by 10. Okay, so this is also related to the rational number. So all of these numbers that can be written in the form of P by Q are basically called the rational numbers. Okay. After that, if I'm going to talk about the irrational numbers, so irrational numbers are those that cannot be written in the form of P by Q. Okay. Cannot be written in the form of P by Q. So what could be the number in the form of P by Q that we can't write it down? So the numbers that are basically in the form of square root. Okay, all the numbers whose perfect square roots are not possible, like 5, 7, like this. If I'm going to take square root 25, so what you think? Is it a rational number or irrational number? This will be the rational number then. Why this will be the rational number? Because if I'm going to take the square root for this 25, so that will be 5 exactly. Okay, so this will be converted into a rational number. So that's why the numbers whose perfect square roots are possible, they will not be the irrational numbers. So all the numbers that are basically in the form of square root but whose perfect square roots are not possible, so only then they will be called as irrational numbers. Similarly, you can take any of the number that, like 23, square root 23, that could be also a rational number. Also, some mathematical notations or mathematical symbols that we use, they are also related to the irrational numbers. Like for example, we have pi, we have theta. So these are also related to the irrational number. Okay. So rational number usually we use to denote by Q, letter Q. Okay. And irrational number we use to denote by Q prime. So if you like understood about the rational and irrational number, then real number will not be a difficult thing for you all. So what basically a real number? In simple, you can say that all numbers are real numbers. Okay, all numbers are real number means like we have two categories of the numbers, either rational or either irrational. And if you are going to take the union of rational and irrational number, so that will be called as real number. It means that in real number we have all the categories of the number, either they are rational, either they are irrational. Okay, so simply you can say that all numbers are real number, or in this way you can also say that real numbers is basically the union of rational or irrational number. If you quite like understood about the concept of union, like in union, if we are going to take the union of two sets, it means that all the numbers that are related to the set 1 and 2, they both will be included. So that's why real numbers are the union of rational and irrational number. And also you can just denote the real number by capital R. Mostly in the books, they used to write it bold, but when we are writing it, so you can just use the two lines over here, two parallel lines, and accordingly you can write. So this is basically the notation for the real number. So real number is basically the union of rational and irrational numbers. Okay. So these are basically some of the concepts that are quite related to the types of numbers. And if you understood these concepts, then the other things that are quite related to this chapter will be easy for you. Okay, so let's start from the first exercise. Okay, exercise 1.1, it's basically related to the concept about arithmetic. As I told you earlier, that arithmetic is basically the manipulation of the numbers. Manipulation means like addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. All the mathematical operations are related to the concept about arithmetic. Okay, so here they gave some mathematical symbols that we are going to use, and you might know about these symbols. So equality sign. Okay, you know that why we use this equality sign. Less than or equal, greater than and unequal, and this is basically not equal to. So this is basically some of the information that they are giving you according to this concept arithmetic. Okay, so as I'm saying that arithmetic is basically related to the manipulation of the numbers. So here in this example as well, they are just giving you a very brief idea that how you are going to add or subtract a particular number, that are basically some decimal numbers, or if decimal number needs to be added in a whole number. So what could be the circumstance accordingly? So here some of the numbers they have just given you according to the addition, some with the subtraction, multiplication, and division as well. Okay, so let's start that how without using the calculator we are going to work with these kind of questions. Okay, so this is your exercise 1.1a. So first they are saying that evaluate the following. So evaluation, you need to show them completely. Okay, so first question is we need to add 7.6 and 0.31. Just make your mind in this way that whenever you need to add two decimal numbers, your decimal number or your decimal point would be exactly under the decimal point. Like this decimal point and this decimal point would be exactly like this. Okay, and as we need to add them, so you can show the sign as well, the sign of addition in this way, and then you can just simply add just the way we used to add the whole numbers. Okay, just remember that whenever you are adding the decimal number, your signs must be like the decimal points must be exactly under the decimal points. Okay, so after that you can just start adding the numbers, as we don't have anything under above this one, so directly you can write 1. 6 and 3 would be 9, and 7 would be similar. Okay, so in this way, when you have a number that is basically 1 is the decimal number, and secondly, you can check they gave you the whole number. That is basically the number 15. So if you need to add a whole number and a decimal number. Now, as I was saying that previously, you need to put the decimal number exactly under the decimal number. But what if we have one whole number, as I'm having 15? So in decimal number, the first part is basically called the whole number part. And after that, we have this decimal part. So accordingly, this whole number part will be exactly under the whole number part. And after that, you can just proceed with your decimal number part. And in this way, you can write the number. Okay. Whole number part would be exactly under the whole number part, and decimal will be separate. Okay. So when we are going to add it up, so again, this 2 and this 2 can be similar because we don't have any number above. Use the decimal point. 7 and 5 would be 12. 2 would be over here and 1 would be carried, and 1 and 1 would be 2. So in this way, you can add the numbers if you have one whole number and one decimal number. Okay. Similarly, some questions that are basically related to this concept, you can try yourself. So it would be better. Next, fifth one question, if you would be checking here, they gave three numbers altogether that we need to add. Okay. We have 4.2, 42, and we have 420. It would be better if you will add them all at once, or otherwise you can add the first two and then you can add the number after that. So just remember one number they gave you with the decimal number, and the rest two are according to the whole number. So be careful while you are writing the number, as I'm writing 42. So exactly I'm writing the 42 under the whole number part, because this 42 is basically completely a whole number. Next, we have 420 that is basically the number having the three of the numbers or three digits in that. So again, you can check that how I'm just writing the numbers under the numbers, because of one is the number that is basically related to the decimal number and others are basically the whole numbers only. So just start adding them. 2 would be exactly down, and after that there is a decimal point. 4 and 2 would be 6. Again 4 and 2 would be 6, and this 4 would be exactly down. So this is basically the answer for these numbers. Otherwise, if you are having the problem adding all these three numbers together, so you can add them two first, and then, or either you can add the whole numbers first and then you can add the decimal number part. So it's totally up to you, whatsoever the thing you want to go on with. But I think so adding the numbers now, like using all of these three numbers together, it would be easy for you. Okay, so until here they gave you some of the questions that are quite related to the addition concept. Next, you can check that they gave us the question that is related to the concept about the subtraction. Okay, so the question is 3.84 negative 2.62. Again, concept is similar, like the decimal number must be according, if you are adding two decimal numbers, so your decimal point must be exactly under the decimal point. Again, similar concept like 3.84, and under that you needs to write 2.62 and subtract them both. So subtraction would be starting from the right side. From 4, if you are going to subtract 2, you would be remaining with the 2. 8 negative 6, that will be 2. And also 3 negative 2 would be 1. So this is basically the answer about according to the subtraction. So you can check that there isn't any much difference in the concepts. Just the thing is that here you need to add the numbers and here you need to subtract the numbers. So concept is similar. Clear? Okay, next again, like they gave us the two decimal numbers subtraction. So this also easier one, you can try them. And after that, in the eighth one, they gave you one decimal number, but one is the whole number part. So again, when we are going to write it down, you need to write down the whole number part exactly under the whole number part. Okay, just this is the main concept. So 4.61 negative 3 if you want to go with. So you would be writing 4.61, and if you need to write down the 3, as 3 is a whole number, so you need to write down under a whole number. Clear? Whole number must be exactly under the whole number, and you need to write the decimal number exactly under the decimal number, as we need to subtract it. So we don't have the numbers after this 3, so you can apply the zeros as well. Otherwise you can just directly make these numbers down, because 1 negative 0 and 6 negative 0, they will be exactly the similar numbers, and 4 negative 3 would be 1. So this is the answer, 1.61. Okay. One more thing that you need to understand, that while you are working with the decimal numbers, you need to read them in this way. Like after the decimal point, you need to read all the numbers separately. Like this number, if I will read it as 20.399. Okay. So in this way, after the decimal point, you need to read all the numbers separately. Clear? Okay. So next, ninth one, again, they gave us one is basically the whole number part and one is according to the decimal part. So in this way, you can try. Okay, what if they gave like addition and subtraction both? So what we need to do? 10th, 8.7 added up in 19.2 and negative 3.8. Okay, so here they gave us the addition as well as the subtraction as well. So what you can do, you can add them first, like the numbers that are being added, you can add them first, and whatsoever the answer you are going to get, you needs to then subtract 3.8. Here you can't apply all of these in the like all at once to add or subtract them together. So it will be better if you would add them together first and then you needs to subtract it. So 18.7 plus 19.2. First off, I'm going to add them, both of them. And again, you can check my decimal number is exactly under the decimal number. So 7 and 2, that would be 9. Okay, after that, there is a decimal point. And then we need to add 9 and 8, and that would be 17. So 7 you need to write here, and 1 would be carried. So 1 and 1 would be 2. So what I'm getting after adding them both, 27.9. From this 27.9, now we need to subtract this 3.8. So decimal point exactly under the decimal point, and then you can subtract it. So 9 negative 8 would be 1, 7 negative 3 would be 4, and 2 would be down. So this is basically the answer for this. Okay, 24.1. So if they gave the addition and subtraction along like both of them, so you can first add the numbers together, okay, and then you can subtract them. Similarly, here they gave the 11th and 12th. They are also related to the similar concept, addition and subtraction, both they gave. So this one as well as the subtraction. So these all questions that are basically given according to this concept, similar concept, you can try them yourself. After that, they are giving us the numbers with multiplication. So let's see how we can multiply the numbers that, like, if they gave us the decimal number, so what we need to do. So we have 2.6 times 0.6. So simply you need to, like, here there is no concept of writing the exact number or decimal number exactly under the decimal number or decimal point. So simply you can write the numbers in this way. Use the multiplication sign, so it will better give the idea that what operation you are going to apply. So multiplication, again, you need to start from the right side, and multiplication you would be doing similar just the way we used to do with the numbers. So 6 needs to be multiplied first with 6, and then 6 needs to be multiplied by 2. So 6 times, that would be 36. So 6 you would be applying over here, and then you can use the 3 as your number that would be carried. So 6 2 times would be 12, and 3 would be 15. Okay. Next, use multiplication sign, or sometimes students use 0 as well. So it's up to you what concept you want to go with. So 6 0 times would be 0, and 2 0 times is also 0. And then you can add them together. So 6, 5, 1. Now, as the numbers were given according to the decimal concept, so we need to give the answer in the form of decimal as well. So where to apply the decimal point, this you can get the idea from this, like this decimal number and this decimal number, like the two decimal numbers, how many numbers are on the right side of the decimal number. Okay, so how many numbers are on the right side of both of these two decimal points? Two numbers. So counting from the right side, you can count the two numbers, and after two number you can apply the decimal point. Okay, so this is the way of applying the decimal point if your multiplication concept is being given. Okay, let's try one more question according to the multiplication concept. Like 16th one is 27.2 times 0.08. So if I'm going to multiply them both, how I'm going to multiply again? Like here, writing the number or writing a decimal point exactly under the decimal point is not a compulsory thing. So you can simply write down the number that they gave. Okay, 27.2 times 0.08, and we are going to multiply them both. So simply start multiplying from the right side. 8 2 times would be 16. 1 would be carried. 8 7 times, now we need to go, and you can check like carry number, you can exactly write exactly and after the number that we need to multiply then. So 8 7 times would be 56, and 1 would be 57. 7 you can apply over here, and 5 would be carried again. So 8 2 times 16, and in 16 we need to add 5. So 16 and 5 would be 21. Here we got the number. Okay, next apply one multiplication sign and start multiplying the 0 with all these three numbers above. So 2 0 times would be 0, 7 0 times would be 0, 2 0 times exactly 0 again. Now after that, the second step, you need to use two multiplication signs like this. Okay, and now we need to multiply with a third number. In this way you can just increase the multiplication sign after using the first multiplication, the second multiplication, and so on. So 2 0 times, 7 0 times, and 0 0 times. So in this way, you can just use all the multiplication signs here and then you can add them together. So 6, 7, 1, 2, and 0. Okay. Addition was quite easier because we have all the zeros over here. So now we need to check that where to apply the decimal point. So we need to check again how many numbers we have on the right side of these two decimal points. So we have 1, 2, 3. Three numbers we have. So counting from the right side, three numbers 1, 2, 3, and here you need to apply the decimal point. So basically your answer for multiplication of these two decimal numbers is 2.176. So this is basically the concept of multiplication. Okay. So similar questions you can apply about the multiplication. Okay, let's talk about the 18th one. As in 18th one, they gave us the square. Okay, so as I told you before as well, that square is basically multiplication of a number itself. So if they gave us the square of 0.01, what does this means? That you need to multiply 0.01 with 0.01 again. Okay, like this, 0.01 times 0.01. So for multiplication, again, you can write them both in this way and then multiply them together. So 1 times 1, 0 times 0, 0 times 0. 0, 0, 0, because we have zeros, but applying two multiplication signs, 0, 0, 0. Add them together. And now we need to check that how many numbers are before these two decimal points. So we have four numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4. So counting again from the right side, 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers, and you can apply the decimal point. So this is basically the answer for this. I'm writing here as well so you can get the clear idea. The answer for this is 0.0001. So square, if they gave with any of the number, it means that you need to multiply that particular number again with the similar number. So similar questions related to the multiplication concepts, then you can try yourself. So let's talk about the division now. How we are going to divide some of the decimal numbers. So as we have 3.6 dividing with 0.2. So sometimes students used to have the confusion that how you are going to divide a decimal number with a decimal number again. For this, it would be better if you will change one decimal number into a whole number. And how you can change one decimal number into a whole number? For example, if you have 3.6 and you need to divide it with 0.2. So to change one number, it would be better if you will change the denominator number into a whole number. Okay. So for this, as I'm having 0.2, so isn't it if I'm going to multiply it by 10, so it would be just 2. So whatsoever the number you needs to or you want to go on with multiplication, you needs to multiply with both, like with the numerator and with the denominator as well. So 3.6 times 10 will be simply 36. Okay, decimal point would be removed, and downward over here as well, 0.2 times 10 would be simply 2. So after that, you can divide it or either you can cancel it out. So 2 1 times and 2 8 times 16. So your answer is coming 18. Okay, in this way, your division would be very easier if you will change or you will convert one decimal number, like the denominator one number, into a whole number. Okay, similar concept we can take but with some different number. So let's try 25th. In 25th, what they gave 0.1404 and dividing it with 0.06. So as I'm having two decimal numbers over here again that we need to divide it with. So 0.1404 and dividing it with 0.06. Now to remove the decimal point from here, I need to multiply this time by 100. Okay, because there are two decimal point, two decimal number. Okay, so after decimal point we have 0 and 6 as well, so that's why we will be multiplying it by 100. So similar operation you need to do with the numerator as well. So after multiplying this by with the numerator, like 14 will be moved on the left side, so it will be 14.04. If you know how to multiply the numbers exactly or directly with the numbers 100,000. Okay, so if 100 with 100 I'm going to multiply, so my two numbers are going to be moved on the left side in this way. Okay, so similarly when I'm going to multiply 0.06 by 100, it will be only 6. Okay, now we need to divide 14.04 with 6. Okay, so if you have outside a whole number, so it would be easier for you to divide a whole number with a decimal number. So first of all, you can go with 6 2 times 12. Okay, after that we need to subtract. So from 14, if I'm going to subtract 12, it would be 2. Okay, after that what we need to do, we have a decimal point, so you can shift the decimal point here, or you can either apply the decimal point downward over here. Sometimes student used to skip to write down the decimal point under, so it's up to you if you want to go on, or otherwise you can leave it. Okay, so next we have decimal point that I applied over here, and we are going to go on with this 0 down. Okay, so again 6 3 times 18 we can go with, because it's 20, so before that 18 would be better. So 20 negative 18 would be 2, and then you can make it down like the 4. So 6 4 times would be 24. So the answer for this is coming 2.34. So in this way, the questions that are related to the division concept, so it would be easier for you if you will change your decimal number or the denominator one decimal number into a whole number, and it would be easier for you to divide them after that. Okay. Similar questions that are related to the division concept you can apply. Okay, somewhere you no need to change the numbers. You can just directly divide them. Like for example, here they already gave us the number, a whole number that you needs to divide it with. Here as well we have the whole number, so no need to worry over here. There we have one decimal point number, so you can multiply it by 10 here as well and here as well. After multiplying by 10, this would be 55, and only one zero would be increased, so you can apply the numbers accordingly. Next for 32, here they gave the, in the bracket they gave the addition. It means that first you need to add the numbers together, as bracket you need to open up first, okay, according to the board mass rule. So then you need to multiply it with 0.06. So multiplication, I told you how you will work on. In 33, they gave us 0.4 square. So square means that you need to multiply a similar number with itself again. So 0.4 times 0.4, and whatsoever the number you are going to get after multiplying, you need to divide it by 0.2. So before that, you need to like change it according to a whole number. Okay, so then it will be easier for you. Next, as we need to divide 77 by 1000. So as I told you about the multiplication concept, like your two numbers are going to be shifted on the other side. So similar concept you can take for this division as well. Like as we have 77 and we need to divide it by 1000. So when we have 77 dividing by 1000, so what you can do for division, as this is basically the inverse of multiplication. So here we are going to apply the decimal point. So as we have 1000, it means that after decimal point we need to have three numbers. Two numbers already we have, like 7 and 7, but one number you can apply like as 0, 7 and 7. So this is the answer. So without long division, for these hundreds and thousand you can directly work on. Okay, so similarly here you need to take 0.3 square. It means that 0.3 needs to be times by 0.3 again, or then you need to divide it by 100. So accordingly you can check that how many numbers could be after the decimal point. Similar is this 36 concept. Okay, for 37, they gave us the multiplication and division again. It means that you needs to first multiply the numerator number and then you needs to divide it by 2.3. So again, it would be better if you will change this 2.3 first of all into a whole number. For that, you will again multiply it by 10 in the numerator and denominator, and then you will work on. This is easier. You can directly cancel out the things as well. Like if I will work on 38, I'm having 180 times 4 by 36. So if I'm going to simplify it, so we need to check that which numbers you can use to cancel them out. Like I can cancel out 4 9 times 36 and 9 2 times 18 and 1 0. So in this way, directly cancellation as well as possible. So what you can do. So similar is this concept, first multiplication, then division. But for division, again, I'm saying that you need to change this denominator number into a whole number. So it would be easier for you to divide it with. Otherwise, multiplication is not quite difficult. And here as well, you can do like simplifications, canceling the numbers and simplifying them. And after that, you can just multiply it with 0.2. So like 7 can be cancelled out and this can be also cancelled out. So according to this cancellation technique, you can simplify the number. If you are having the quite like good grip according to the starting questions like multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction, then these questions would be easier for you to work on with. But again, the one thing that you can keep in your mind that if you want to have a good grip on the maths, you needs to do practice. Like you are watching the videos or doing any other thing related to the concept about the maths and you are just watching the videos, that will not work out. So if you are having enough practice on daily basis, then your maths techniques would be like you would be having the good grip on your maths subject. Okay, so this is all for today's lecture, exercise 1.1a. Hope so it's good for you all. So practice them and thank you so much.